So with the draft right around the corner, it's so up in the air what the Washington Commanders are going to do at 29 because unlike years past where we would typically be picking in the beginning of drafts or in the middle of drafts, you kind of knew where Washington was going to pick or what players would be there. But the fact that we're at 29, it is so broad of who could be available once we're on the clock. If you ask any Washington Commanders fan, I'm sure they'll give you a plethora of positions that they would like to see Washington attack, whether it's cornerback, safety, edge rusher, offensive line, etc. at 29. However, in today's video, we're going to talk about how the Washington Commanders spent a 30 visit on this specific pass rusher, and this pass rusher has ties to this current coaching staff. Let's talk about it.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jaden Daniels' career, and he's already milking injuries?
Stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she fly for him, and shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty's love again now. She's confident.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with the video where we're going to be shining some light on a potential edge rusher that could be joining the Washington Commanders if he's there at 29. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate it if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into today's video. So the Washington Commanders are doing their due diligence as they should with the NFL draft just a month away. And Washington's general manager Adam Peters put us in a position in which when we're drafting, we don't have to rely on these guys for needs. So what does that mean? One, that means that whoever we draft, we are not relying on those guys to come in and start immediately. Would it be great to get some type of contribution from them? Yeah, of course. But we have veterans, free agents, signings, trades that are in the current positions to where we in years past would have to rely on a rookie to come in, and that's so much pressure on a young fella. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're a top 5, top 10 pick, I feel as though you shouldn't be guaranteed to start or be looked at to start immediately, unless you're just that right away. And 9 times out of 10, that's not always the case. So Washington has a different approach that they have never had before to this year's draft, and I think that's going to allow Washington to be able to kill it once again. Second draft under Adam Peters. However, let's talk specifically about this position that today, an edge rusher. We know Washington's biggest need, other than obviously some other positions, is going to be edge rusher. In my personal opinion, I think you go edge rusher, running back, or running back, edge rusher as the first 2 picks. You have to, because this edge rushing class is very deep, and so is this running back class. But you don't want to wait too late to where you don't get your hands on somebody that could potentially be a game changer in your future. So Washington, they spent one of their 30 visits, and 30 visits are very, very, very important because you only get 30 of them, right? So you have to choose wisely who you want to spend these 30 visits on, what players, because you can't do it for all players. And Washington decided to do it for a UCLA pass rusher by the name of Olu Owadeho. Hopefully I said that correctly. He's a pass rusher from UCLA, and it's very interesting that we decided to use a 30 visit on a specific pass rusher by the name of Olu, because I don't know if y'all know, but them Oladejo guys, those guys, they put up numbers from UCLA. There's another guy that had a similar name last year. I think he went to the Colts or something like that, and he was really solid coming out of UCLA too. So I guess slowly turning into a system that you want to go get you a pass rusher for the next level, go to UCLA. And Olu, he's coming off of his best season as a pass rusher there for the Bruins. He had 4.5 sacks. So again, the stats aren't blowing you away, but he is somebody that is 21 years old, and he definitely going to come to Washington if we do select him at 29, and he's not expected to start day one. Now, some of his strong suits is the physical presence and obviously his ability to use his size. He's 6'3", 250, according to ESPN. And some of the positives about Olu is that he boasts a dense, powerful frame that is capable of rocking back offensive linemen to reset the line of scrimmage. So that's very interesting. We need power coming off that edge. We need somebody that's going to be able to set the dominant edge, especially when we're going up against guys like Saquon Barkley, Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs. And that's something that we struggled with last year. How great Dante Fowler was for us last season as far as a pass rusher getting after the quarterback. It was amazing. However, we know he struggled mightily in the run game. And this is something that a guy like Olu can come in day one and be a rotational piece and help out immediately. Continuing on with some of the positives, it says capable brusher off the edge with first contact counter and mugged up the interior gap. So he's been able to play as a stand-up linebacker, off the ball linebacker as well, and obviously been able to get pressure on the quarterback this past season was something that they would love to see take a step from him, which he in fact did, because in past he really ain't get after the quarterback or strong sack numbers. But again, he hasn't necessarily played only as an edge rusher. He was playing on-ball linebacker too a little bit because he is 6'3", but with putting on some weight at 250. That's more of the size of where you want your pass rusher to be. So he may be a little bit undersized when it comes to height, but that may be actually a plus because he can get underneath, the left tackle, right tackles, shoulder pads and kind of dip underneath him and get around and use the quarterback. He has a high motor, or get to the quarterback. He has a high motor as well, but some of the negatives, this is 33rd team, by the way, says he's super raw in his hand usage on the edge, fits blocks, and fight leverage. So essentially he is raw. He's not somebody that you expect to come in and start day one, which again, that's why I say Washington's in the perfect position for drafting a guy like Olu, because he's not expected to come in and start day one. That's similar to what I said about Max Hurston yesterday, where in years past, we will be relying on guys like Olu, like Max Hurston, to come in and be a day one starter. And I think Emmanuel Forbes had talent coming out of Mississippi State. However, looking back on it, was he a day one starter? Probably not. And for the simple fact that we weren't prepared as a unit, as a team, he had to go out there and pose as a day one starter, which eventually killed his confidence, and he was never really able to reach the potential that he had. Here's what's different about this regime. We're attacking free agency with an approach of knowing we have veteran guys out there that can come in and lead and play valuable snaps, which allows our rookies, our young fellas, to learn, play a little bit, but more importantly, be around the vets so they can know how to play, how to prepare, how to study, and then once the vets are off, it's their time to shine. And this is the same approach that has lended a lot of successful teams to Lombardi's. And with a guy like Olu, again, he comes right in and he's immediately not a day one starter because of how raw he is with his hands. But you get him with the pass rushing specialist, you get him with Ryan Kerrigan, the D-line coach, defensive coordinator, obviously, and even Ken Norton Jr., who worked with him at UCLA. Yes, that's the coaching tie that I was talking about in the intro. Ken Norton Jr. knows Olu. So I'm sure he threw a lob at Adam Peters and the rest of the scouting department and said, hey, go see Olu. They went out to UCLA Pro Day for Olu. They spent a 30 visit on Olu. So they're very interested in not only just upgrading his edge rushing room, but specifically him. He's the only pass rusher that I've heard Washington be interested in. And don't be surprised if at 29, if he's BPA, because again, that's where I think we're going to go with. If he's BPA, this is the guy that you're going to take if you're Washington. Now, again, he has a lot of work. He's not somebody that you expect come in and immediately get 10.5 sacks. You know what I'm saying? But again, this isn't not a guy that you're drafting at 4. If you were drafting him at 4, of course, you expect him to be a day one starter. You're drafting him at 29. You know what I'm saying? You draft him at 29. Shoot, you might even trade back and still find a way to get him or something like that, because I've been seeing his range go from as early as a first-round pick and as late as a fourth-round pick, but I highly doubt he falls that far. Continuing on, though, with the article here, it says ideal scheme fit for Olu would be best as a rush linebacker who can lean on his past experiences to intermittently serve as a zone dropper for a sim pressure scheme. Releasing into the hook or rushing the passer from a 2-point stance can add versatility to the defense front and boost his value as compared to having to be a highly developed pass rusher to hold value. He's developed developmental talent who likely will need a year of seasoning and training. So again, he's a guy that you're taking a chance on based off of his potential. He's not a guy that you would be drafting right now to be coming in day one. Olu, I need you to give me 12.5 sacks. No, that's not what you're doing. And quite frankly, honestly, guys, as much as I would love to find a day one guy at 29, that's the typical range we're going to be in. A lot of the bigger, better name guys, Abdul Carter and all these other guys are going to be gone. Those are the guys you expect to start day one, not a guy like Olu. You're drafting him because of the potential that he can bring. And they just talked about him being able to have some versatility to bluff a blitz and drop back into coverage. When have we had that? I mean, Frankie Louvu, I think, this past year did it and got the pick on Kenny Pickett. I believe so. He just dropped flat back, but that is something cool that we haven't seen in a very long time. To have an edge rushers have the ability to also be able to cover. Like a minute, essentially, Olu started out as an on-ball linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Then they seen that his ability to rush the quarterback was very, very interesting and intriguing. And I could see him taking on a Frankie Louvu-esque role, being on the hip of Frankie Louvu and kind of, you know, trying to learn from him. Because that way he'll be able to kind of work with Frankie. You know, Frankie's a guy that you use that can cover as well. And now we clearly know he can rush the quarterback. Should have had double-digit sacks this past year. But keep an eye on Olu. And again, I'm always going to lean on you guys for more context when it comes to a guy like Olu or the rest of these draft process, because I know a lot of you all are deeper into college football than your man Juan Gotti. But doing a quick research, this is another guy that Washington seems very interested in, spent the 30 visit on, have ties to the coaching staff with Ken Norton Jr., and he has a high motor and has super potential. And at the rate that we're drafting or that we're signing guys that has potential 2-3 years down the road from now, not immediately going to be a star year one. So let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comment section down below. Would you be interested in drafting Olu from UCLA, edge rusher? I would, but let me know what you guys think about it down below in the comment section. As always, me boy Juan Gotti. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. On the road to 10,000 subscribers, we really appreciate if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed one. Stay safe. Be easy out there. Peace.
Never gave a damn. Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey never seen a line.